Let's get back to football. A little Monday night variety to cap Week 7, obviously, where we need your favorite daily fantasy and sportsbook plays for New Orleans and Seattle. And, of course, we bring back Geoff Ulrich and Pearce Detrich. And, guys, for people that are thinking about chasing the big money, of course, in this Showdown contest, it all starts at the top. The captain spot in the DFS Showdown. Pearce, who do you have?
Alvin Kamara. You look at the last game before the bye against Washington. Season high in targets and routes, got a receiving touchdown. He's going to face Seattle, who are in bottom 6 when it comes to receptions to running backs, receiving yards to running backs, rushing yards to running backs, rushing touchdowns to running backs. It's a premium spot. But the biggest play here is that Taysom Hill is out. You don't have to worry about him poaching touchdowns. Kamara's over-under is at 93 yards rushing, which is a huge number, 30 receiving yards. Kamara's going to be my guy.
Geoff, did I shame Pearce into taking off his cardigan?
I guess, yeah. I didn't even notice that. I mean,
I didn't mean to
class
do
things
that.
up around here, and you just get taken down a notch. Trust me. That's why I only wear T-shirts now.
Apparently.
Look, this is a hard game to really go against like Kamara. I mean, it is a really, really tough spot. You've got basically nobody on Seattle who is interesting. Pearce makes a fantastic point with Taysom Hill being out. This is a massive spot for Alvin Kamara. Now, I will say this. Jameis Winston, I think, is the other player you can think about pivoting to in the captain spot. If Alvin Kamara isn't getting into the end zone twice, it's because, A, Jameis Winston threw the ball in there, and B, he might have rushed it in there too. Let's not overlook the fact Winston has over 19 rush yards in 3 of his 5 starts this year. He's taken 3 or more rushes. And again, there's no red zone gadget play to rush the ball. Winston, big guy. We know he can pile in there. He's definitely done it all throughout his career. He could be the red zone rusher. So if he gets all the touchdowns, and it's definitely a possibility, again, touchdown is a much more variable statistic than receptions and carries and stuff like that. Winston could be the highest scorer here. But I really don't want to look past those 2 guys. I really think you have to go there. And Winston really is like the big GPP pivot. That's it. So if you're making like a bunch of lineups, I would definitely use him in some of the captain spots. But it's really only to get away from the very chalky Alvin Kamara, who you should still probably play in your captain spot.
Geoff, I know obviously when talking about Seattle, we're not talking about Russell Wilson. We're talking about Geno Smith. That being said, if you're looking to stack somebody with your captain, are you still targeting maybe one of those wideouts, a DK Metcalf or obviously Tyler Lockett?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at the usage from Geno Smith's game, I mean, trying to get DK Metcalf involved a little bit more, either downfield or just on shorter screens. I'm not expecting a breakout game or like a career performance here from DK Metcalf, but this is a low scoring game. We've got a 41.5 point total. 10 plus points could be huge in this matchup, and it does look like DK Metcalf is a guy who could potentially get you that here. So you can definitely look at coming back with DK Metcalf on the other side if you're captaining one of those New Orleans Saints players. But as far as receivers go for Seattle, it really does kind of feel like you're taking your life in your hands here by targeting any of them. But Metcalf certainly seems like he has the potential, the biggest potential, I should say, just based on his usage with Geno Smith last week.
Pearce, do you feel the same way stacking somebody with a captain, or maybe look at the other side in a Marquez Callaway?
I'll stack with the captain, and I really don't want anything to do with this Seattle offense. Not with a backup quarterback, not with some bad weather projected in this game. I'll take the New Orleans defense in this game. You look at how Seattle scores. I mean, they're average in terms of points per game, which isn't terrible, but they're also towards the bottom when it comes to red zone touchdowns, which means a lot of their scores are big plays. Well, you don't get big plays against good defenses. You don't hit big plays in bad weather, and you definitely don't hit big plays with a backup quarterback. So I'll take this third-ranked DVOA and pair. I mean, you always want to pair a running back with the defense. They tend to correlate pretty well.
Pearce, it feels like kind of a silly question to ask you when we're talking about a showdown, but you look at just the salaries. I mean, Geno Smith, Jameis Winston, they're both sub-6K guys. Is there better value in this showdown than just going with the QBs? I know you don't like the Seattle offense, but it's tough to ignore.
Yeah, that's where I'm going to go. But there's value all across the board here. It might be crazy, but the winning lineup might leave a lot of money on the table. It's crazy to think that, especially if we're going to captain Alvin Kamara. But DJ Dallas, is going to see some strong number 2 play. Alex Collins is not 100%. We saw last week, caught 5 of 5 targets, ran plenty of routes for Seattle. He could have an impact, especially if Seattle's playing from behind. Yeah, Kenny Stills is going to step in because Deontay Harris is not playing. Little Jordan Humphrey is going to be a possibility because also Hogan's not there. Maybe Ty Montgomery playing the slots. You might want to be careful with Humphrey and Montgomery because we could see Kamara jumping into the slot a lot as well. But there's a lot of really cheap guys that could, hit a decent play in this bad weather game.
Kenny Stills only $3,100. So Moose, who is your value here?
I mean, yeah, just to pile on what Pearce was saying, we have banged up position players all around. So we've got like 3 or 4 guys who could mix in. This game is impossible to pin down, and we also have a low point total. So it's a tough one, but I kind of like looking at Adam Troutman. But for the simple fact of this, Adam Troutman's going to be on the field. He played over 80% of the snaps last week, saw a season high. I think it was like 2 receptions, but still, he's out there. And again, we've got the lowest volume, one of the lowest volume passing offenses in the league. So, the fact Troutman is out there, going to be out there around the goal line a little bit as well. I kind of like that just from a reliability perspective. Pearce just mentioned all the different wide receivers who could get involved, but may also not play or not get any targets. At least we know Troutman's going to be on the field. So that's a big positive in his mind, or just for his case. And the other thing I'll mention is for the Rashad Penny is probably going to be active tonight. So again, we might have a 3-headed monster here for Seattle. But Penny is another guy. You could get like 5% ownership on, perhaps. He's still got that IR spot, but it does look like he's going to be active. So, again, lots of ifs and whats in this game, but I kind of like Troutman just for the fact that he's playing a lot of snaps.
Geoff, Seattle's a home underdog, basically an insult to the 12s. How dare they? Plus 170 on the money line. Any interest there, or are you going to maybe stay with the spread or the game total?
I mean, are we still doing this thing with Seattle? The 12th man, the Legion of Boom? Dude, it's over.
Sure are.
This team doesn't deserve the nicknames right now. No, I have no interest in taking Seattle on the money line, and I'm usually up for like a home dog kind of situation, but this defense is not good. It's really, really not good. I don't trust Pete Carroll necessarily to come up with enough creative game planning here on offense to get Geno Smith going. Geno Smith looked okay in the second half last week, but man, the Saints aren't going to allow anything on the ground. You've got a banged up running back anyways. They're going to put the ball in the hands of Geno Smith and say, beat us, friend. And it's not going to happen. I'd much rather be on the Saints -4 here. I don't really have any interest in taking the Seahawks tonight.
What do you think here, Pearce?
I'm with Geoff. Take the Saints, lay the points. The defenses are the real story here. Winston worries me anytime you're taking the Saints. But Geno Smith should worry people as well. And you've got a really good defense playing in this game. Weather is probably going to be a major concern. But you just look at what the problem with Seattle is the same problem they've had the last couple of years. The offensive line is terrible. I mean, that's why Russell Wilson's not playing. Their adjusted sack rate is 29th. Geno Smith had a 27% pressure rate, 12 times. I think he got taken down, 5 sacks in his last game. And now the Saints haven't really gotten to the quarterback very well this year, towards the bottom when it comes to adjusted sack rate, but their pressure rate is in the top half. Their quarterback knockdowns is top 3. So there's going to be some positive regression. The Saints are going to eventually start getting some sacks, and I think this is a spot where we're going to see that regression, and this game is going to be won by the Saints in the trenches.
Pearce, do you have a favorite prop tonight on the sports book?
Yeah, so going along that same theme, Geno Smith over 12.5 rushing yards. There's going to be a lot of pressure on him. Now, as I mentioned, the Saints haven't really gotten a lot of sacks, so they're going to be close. They're going to force him out of the pocket. He's going to scramble. 12.5 doesn't seem like that high of a total whatsoever for a mobile quarterback that's constantly going to be under duress. And you look at what the Saints have done in the recent games. Taylor Heineke had 40 rushing yards. Daniel Jones had 27 rushing yards. Mac Jones had 28 rushing yards. Geno should be able to get over 12.5. I'm very confident in this one.
What do you think, Geoff?
I mean, again, with how many question marks we have in this game, people banged up and stuff, I think this is a good night to look for some really long shot kind of exotic props. And if you go into the player parlays on the DK Sportsbook, you can find Alvin Kamara for over 125 rush yards and over 50 receiving yards. Pearce mentioned it, and it's a big point. Taysom Hill not in the game. That's like 6 extra touches for Kamara. That means more rushes. That means more receiving yards as well. This is a player who can easily break off a 70-yard touchdown, a 30, 40-yard screen pass, and all of a sudden you look at the end of the game, he's got over 200 yards. This is definitely a bust-out spot. Seattle's defense, not good in terms of limiting the rush. They're not good at limiting receptions to opposing running backs. I think this is the type of shot where you don't lay as many units, you don't put as much investment in, but you take some big odds. Again, it's plus 1,200 for Kamara to go over 125 and 50 receiving yards. I like these props on Kamara tonight. The other thing you could do is look at him as a multiple touchdown scorer at plus 360. So go big on Alvin Kamara because it's probably going to be a big night.
All right, Moose, you hit us with some props that you like, obviously. You both did. But right now, we need your favorite bet, your slate-approved pick.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Adam Troutman to score a touchdown. Again, I'm not going small. I'm not gonna rink and dink it here. I do like Kamara to have a big night on the ground, but the touchdown variability you can really kind of dial up here, and it's plus 380. This is a player who's been on the field playing a lot, and now the Saints are even more banged up. I think you take a shot here because I do kind of feel like the Saints are going to win this one going away.
Pearce, slate-approved pick.
Let's parlay Geno Smith over 12.5 rushing yards with Alvin Kamara over 30.5 receiving yards. I mentioned earlier, Seattle has allowed the second most receiving yards to running backs, but Kamara's going to be all over the field. He's going to be very active with Deontay Harris out. Chris Hogan's no longer on the team. You're going to see him lining up like we've seen before in the slot as receiver. He's going to be real active. 30.5 seems way too low.